Hi everyone, Alejandro Mesas here. Today I'm going to do a small video demo of some of the AI and agent or agentic functionalities that you can find right now integrated inside BigQuery and BigQuery Studio. We will touch into three main parts. The first one is going to be how you can automatically create table and column descriptions. After, we will see how GenAI can be used in order to help you to clean your data. We'll see data prep, which is a no code or low code way of creating data pipelines. After, we will touch into repositories, which is a very nice functionality that you can have in order to integrate all your no code pipelines with your notebooks, SQL, etc. You can integrate them into a repository in order to push your changes there, which open actually a lot of possibilities to use this code in order to do some testing, so some CI/CD pipelines from there. All right, so let me begin by sharing my screen. Great. So the first thing you will need to do in order to access those functionalities is go to BigQuery and say BigQuery in BigQuery Studio. And to show those functionalities, we will be using a data set that I created with some mock data about a retail store. And then we have some customers, we have some orders, products, etc. Once you click in a table, like in this case, you click in the customer table, you have here the Insights tab. In the Insight tab, you maybe already know, you have information or actually questions that your data can answer in order to help you to explore this data set or this table. And then you can also see here some sample of queries to use this table and also to answer this question. Something that is actually quite new is now the possibility of also generating table description and column description. Here, once you click, you can, of course, improve the quality of those table descriptions or column descriptions, or you can just save as them as they appear here. All right. Copy suggested, and then you can edit here before you save them. Cool. Right. So another functionality that I would like to show you is data preparation. So data preparation is a very useful tool for those maybe not so technical customer, or for those technical customers who would like to easily clean data and build some data cleaning pipeline. So continue with the same example. Here we'll look for this table. Once we have the table, we add them here, add source. Let me make some room here. So basically now we see here the sample of data from this table, and you can see here there were some suggestions created for this table. Like, for example, the customer ID should have a specific format, or should be, there is an email column, right? So it should be a valid email format, and you can just click and apply if you like the suggestions, or you can also edit before you apply them. You do have as well the possibility of just suggesting new transformation. So if you know SQL, you can just type here, let's say lower email. So you can just write here any SQL that you would like to, but you can also do some more interesting thing like format, first name, then first letter, capital. capital and red lowercase. Okay. Then what this is going to do is going to take the description in full text, and then it will generate the SQL. You can say, well, in this case, well, just save in the same column, or you can create a new column that it will be added to your table. You can click and apply. Now, you also need to, of course, add the destination of the table, right? Where do you want to write the output? You also have here, you see the data set, the table, where you would like to save your data. You can also specify here an arrow table, which is a nice functionality, because with the arrow table, what you can do is you can almost, like in this case, we say, well, email should be a valid email, right? If it's not, then it will go, those rows will go to the arrow table, and you can after evaluate them or debug the errors, etc. You can run the job. You can, yeah, I cannot run the job because I don't have a destination. Let's try here. Customer 3. Okay. And then once you have the destination, it should be valid. It's ready to go. And then you can run the job, or you can schedule, etc. Also keep in mind that here, any, in the case of suggestions or join or aggregation, whenever, if you go for the route of writing yourself the SQL, if it doesn't validate, you will see here the errors. Like I said, you can run them from here, right? And once you run the job, you will see here below the executions that are happening. But you can also use another very interesting functionality that are pipelines. So here in pipelines, what you can do is, I'll repeat here a little bit slowly, you have the option here, create a pipeline. And then once you create the pipeline, you can add different tasks, right? So those tasks could be queries, they could be notebooks, or they could be data preparation job. Let's say right now we want to do a data preparation job. You can either edit or create a new one, or you can import an existing one, right? So you have quite some example with the same name. Sorry about that. I select one, and then here it will execute this data preparation. But I can also add a query here. And now my new query is going to be that one. It will run after the data preparation job. That's how you select the order. The query, you can, of course, import a copy of existing one, or you can edit the query. And then here, once you are going to create a query, you find also some agents that are going to be helping you in order to write your query. So let's say now, for example, I like to classify the products based on their need and description into the following categories. And then you say here books, phonics, clothes, furniture. Okay. Just clicking generate. So what this is going to be doing now, it will take the desired output. It will generate a query that will fulfill the requirement and will give you the outcome. As you can see here, the query is not maybe maybe like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, that could be maybe fine, right? Because it's pretty much doing here full text and looking for certain keywords, etc. But nowadays we can do actually much better. Okay. And let's say now, please use BigQuery GenAI capabilities. So this is kind of normal, right? You are going to express what your goal, and then you will refine until you find the optimal solution, right? The no, and I will say here no. Like so, before actually it got it by default. Now I specifically said please don't use like, and now we can see actually that we have here the solution using ML generate text. Okay, let me insert the query. So then here you can see, well, what it did is generate a prompt that is going to ask to please classify those products using the name and using also result. Result is just the table, the column of the table where the description appear. And as you can see, it actually smart enough to also do some join because the product tables have the name while the product description table have the description itself, right? Now you save the query and you go back to your pipeline. In that way you can easily create the different steps in a no code or low code because you are seeing the code, but actually you don't even need to write the code, and then you can schedule the queries, the pipeline, sorry, and you can add also some notebooks in there, etc. So all this it's good, right? But always the challenge with those no code or visual tools is that you don't have the possibility of keeping track of who made some changes, of maybe identifying errors that could appear when the pipeline is going to be executed, etc. So for that reason, I would like to show you now a very nice functionality that are, let's close all these, so that are repositories, right? So repositories are actually quite interesting because what you are going to be doing is, let me first show you how you can create a repository actually. So what you do with the repository is once you click in add repository, it will ask you for the name, test for, you can see it took me 4 times to play the video. And then you have here, this is the region, you create the repository, and now it's not linked to any GitHub, right? Then you will need to go inside configuration, and then here is where you can say connect to Git. You can connect using HTTPS on SSH. In my case, I have actually a lot of troubles using SSH because when I try to copy the query, the key in a new secret, because you will need to create a secret in order to store your key, it have a lot of problems with encoding, it was not valid, etc. For that reason, I decided to use token in the example I'm going to show you in a minute. It made it more easy, and actually it's kind of fit better the purpose because I can also have like different scope for different repos, etc. Right? Here, let me show you an example where we're going to go through. We have right now this repository that is configured for this example, and this is the branch that is going to be used. Once you create the connection to the repository, what you can do is you can easily here create folders. You can also upload notebooks, SQL queries, data preparation jobs, etc. Or you can create them directly here. Right? If you say, well, I would like to create a data preparation, so what this is going to do is it will create a new here. There you are now. Okay. You need to give a name, And this is going to create the same data preparation that you showed before, but now you will have the possibility to upload this to Git. Let me show you an example. Here, I already created one. And then in this example, it's a little bit more complex. I also have, some cleaning. I have some join with other tables, and then I store after in a different tables. Right? You can same way run the jobs, etc. But the important part is that now all those changes that you are making here in the visual UI, after you can commit them here, right? So in that way, you can say, well, which one you want to commit, which one you remove, all those changes, update, pipeline for to add functionalities, areas, right? And then what you will do here is you can just commit those files, and you can also push those changes, right? And push to remote repository. Let me show you how does it look in the repository itself. Here you go. I push them. So now, if I go to this GitHub repository that had the link, and I change to the branch that I was here, I have a push that was done 14 seconds ago. And then I can see here definitions. That's the script and the SQL transformation that data prep was using. And here I have some notebooks, examples that I use in there. And in that way, you can keep also track of all your changes done in a visual UI in a Git repository. Today, I will not show how you can extend this for CI/CD. I will do that in a different video, but I believe you get the point now, right? Because your customer can be using the visual UI. They can be maybe testing those pipelines in local, maybe in some test data set. But after all this code is going to be pushed to Git, from there, you could eventually have a CI/CD pipeline to test them and maybe schedule them in a different environment, which is actually a pretty good compromise between allow people to have flexibility, and after from there also improving the automatization from there. This is pretty much everything I wanted to share with you today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if you want to have any other feature or functionalities that you would like to see. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon.